Mike here. Um, I got 3 different kinds. We'll go through the brands in a minute. Mike, how often do you use calls?
How often? Oh, this time of year, like this morning when we see little ones, I use them a lot.
Okay. It's May. It's opening weekend in Missouri, 2023. We were out this morning, tons of little squirrels, and they were running all over the place. It was hard to get a shot. We did end up with a couple of the bigger ones, but the younger ones just wouldn't stop for much of anything. Neither of us actually brought our calls because we knew we were going to make this video. So my calls were with all my video equipment and not with my hunting stuff. Mistake on my part.
Yes, sir.
So they come in 3 different or multiple different sizes. Your bellows, the small and the large. They're supposed to mimic, a gray squirrel or a fox squirrel for different ones. Mike's got one that is more for a fox squirrel, like this large one. So you can do the bark, you can do and some of them, like this one, have the distress. Not all of them do. When I use the call, mostly, I don't know about you guys, but I have not had any real luck that I could duplicate with the bark or the chatter. What I like to do is, if I know there's a squirrel like behind a tree or something, or this time of year, I like to use the distress call to get them to poke their head out, or for, like Mike said, the young squirrels, when they're running nonstop, you can hit that. A lot of times their mom will come running, or they'll stop and take a look. In fact, my very first time out, I didn't even know a squirrel was around. It was early season, and this was years ago, and I just blew it just to see what would happen, and man, it sounded like a freight train coming through the woods, and she got met with a 22 Magnum, and she tasted great. Mike, how much luck have you had with the bark and the chatter?
Not a whole lot. I use that more for locating.
Okay. So when you say locating, you're just getting out of the car and you want to chatter? You're walking through just to see if they're going to...
I'll chatter when I first get out of the car, and then as I go through the woods, may bark a little now and then or chatter.
Okay. And how often do you have success that way?
Probably 50% of the time.
Okay. So you're getting a response from them.
Yeah.
Okay. I must be doing something wrong because I don't get anything. The only luck I've had, and I've talked to some of you all through Facebook and all, and I know Mike and I have had this discussion. I have only had luck with the distress call as far as duplicating the results. During certain times of year, I know that in certain circumstances, I know what I can do to get that distress call to work. But as far as locating or anything like that, I haven't been able to. If you guys have been able to, then let us know. Or if you've got a technique or something. So Mike's got one for a fox squirrel. This one will also do a fox squirrel. Now yours has a distress as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, so pretty similar. Maybe a little bit of a difference.
Hold your bellow in. It'll change the tone.
Yeah, that's one thing I was getting ready to. You can got a handful of calls, right? So you can see or hear. I hope that you can hear the change in the pitch or tone. You music people can tell me which one it is. So this one, more of a fox squirrel. Now this one's actually my favorite call, even though when I lived in northern Missouri, I killed way more fox squirrels than grays. I had better luck with this distress and better luck with this one. This one's more for a gray. Now, smaller bellows, no chatter. But the distress on it uh, versus, I hope you all can hear it. I can hear it
Yes.
sitting here. I'm not sure that brand makes a difference. All four of these, and we'll go through the brands in a minute, are all different brands. Makers make a difference. I have tried a couple of people's calls that are, handmade, and they'll send me one, or most of the time I just buy them. Because I don't actually, the most I've ever done for getting something free is I bought two calls and he sent me three. So, and I hated it. And I won't tell you who it was because his calls were horrible. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So this one is Haydell's Game Calls, Haydels. They're out of Louisiana. You can find these on Amazon. You know how I feel. Those of you that I've talked to in person, buy it straight from Haydell's if you can, so that Amazon doesn't get the money. But this is a great call. I have a GBT here. Also, find it on Amazon. I think you can find this one at Walmart as well. Mike, what brand is yours?
H&S.
H&S.
Yep.
Okay.
This one was got from a sporting goods store.
Sporting goods store?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have them at Walmart that's a whole lot like these.
Yeah, and really,
There ain't much difference.
no, there's
just
not.
size, I think.
Hold it. So yeah, there's, Mike's is a little flared on the end. Probably better for, lips, getting a good seal. Mine's not. I gotta use more mouth. That'll be on the outtake.
Yep.
But really, not a whole lot of difference. The only difference in the two here, and I'll get to this one in a minute. The only difference in the two is fox squirrel, gray squirrel. That's it. So northern Missouri killed a lot of fox squirrels. Here in the Ozarks, we didn't see a single fox squirrel all day today, and we must have had 20 of them around us. We went and scouted yesterday, and we saw one fox squirrel.
Yes, sir.
How many? 5, 6 grays, something like that.
5 or 6.
All on the ground. It was kind of weird, but we'll talk about that at another time too. So definitely taking this one out with me when we go this afternoon. Definitely have the grays around. If any of those young ones are running like they were this morning, I'm gonna see if I can't put a stop to them.
Oh yeah.
And then put a hurt on them.
You stop them, I'll hurt them.
Oh no, I've seen you shoot.
I know. We seen that this morning.
So now, want to cover another one. This one is actually handmade. This one is made by Brew Calls Game Calls. You can find him on Facebook. I'm actually trying to get a hold of him, see if he'll come on the show and we can interview him, because he's doing some really good work. I like this one. That one sounds...
That's a nice bark.
Really good for a bark.
That's a great...
I mean, this is a good... he makes them with the larger bellows, of course, no chatter, The only thing I don't like about this one is it doesn't have the distress. It's bark only. But he may be able to do the distress. It's something that I want to ask him. And he actually is on the Facebook page, so I hope he sees this. Hey, I bought a call from you here a while back, and I told you I was going to do a review. I like your calls. If any of you buy calls from him, tell him that I'm trying to get a hold of him. So he does really good work. This is probably...
That's the closest.
That's probably the best bark I've had in a call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one. If it had a distress call on it, that'd be my go-to.
Oh, if it had a distress call, I'd put a lanyard on that thing, and that would be my main one.
Go-to, definitely.
So we'll figure that one out. No, you keep that one, because that's actually, we didn't plan this, but that's going to transition my next question. Why don't you go through the different kinds of barks for us?
I can't tell you. Let's see. I got to stop and think. It's been a long time.
That's fine.
That to me is a scolding bark.
So what do you tell them what you mean by a scolding bark?
Like when a squirrel sees something that he doesn't like, he'll scold it.
Mm-hmm.
What I call scolding.
Right.
You know, he'll yell at it. And then your, what is it, the locator bark just.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could make it, I don't know if this one will do it. Oh, this one will do it.
No, the bigger bellows are better for that one.
You can take that with the bigger ones and pop it down like that, and then hold it and kind of jerk it up. It'll
Like
make
that.
a.
So what he's trying to get at is you can push for bark, or if you make it not bark, you can.
Yep. That's supposed to imitate that last part of the gray when he barks.
Yep. And this one I hear more when they're barking at me. That's.
Well, we was hearing that this morning.
Yes. Yeah.
And I really think they seen us.
I do too. Those little ones, they were.
Oh yeah, they were all over.
They were not hanging around when they saw us. They definitely saw us before we saw them. And when we saw them, they were a ways off and headed the opposite direction.
Now for me, like going in and really wanting to chatter at them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can cover your hand up on that and change the tone.
Yep.
A lot of people don't do that, but I do. Well, with the calls, it just depends what you get comfortable with, what works. And that's just, the distress, the barks, what really works for me.
Okay. We are going to find out here in the next couple hours what's going to work at the spot we've been hunting lately.
Sorry.
I like that.
I just like
I
playing
like
with
that.
it. That sounds so much like a gray bark.
Yeah.
It really does. And for where we're hunting, that's perfect.
Yes. No, that's great. Throwing a distress and that's
Yep.
So if you don't have a commercial call, okay, let's say the people watching, they want to go hunting in the morning, they're watching this at 10 p.m., there's no store, what else can you use as a call?
I didn't know if you heard me this morning. You can try to make a distress call with your hand.
Yes. Let's see if we can.
I don't know if I can do it even. You could do that. I mean, it doesn't sound right.
That actually sounds pretty good.
I didn't think so, but thank you. Or, poor people have poor ways. Go get a dog toy. If you have a dog that's got a squeaky toy, pull that squeaker out.
Okay. Have you had good luck with the squeaker?
Yes.
Okay. That was actually a new one to me when we were talking about this video. When we were kind of pre-planning it, he's like the dog toy. And I'm like, really? I never thought about it. Thinking about it, it makes sense. But I wanted to ask him, how much success have you had with it?
Quite a bit with that. Because it's your distress. The trees come alive a lot of times.
Yeah. Another one is I've gotten some questions from our viewers. I have never done this. 2 quarters. Explain 2 quarters.
You can tap them together, or the ridges on it.
The ridges.
You just take and rub them across there. Sounds like something like a squirrel eating a nut a lot of times.
Okay, so it's not actually, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's not recreating a sound that they make. It's more of while they're eating or like climbing a tree?
Yeah, while they're eating.
Okay. Okay, so other than 2 quarters and squeaky toy, the 2 quarters were the only thing that I had ever heard of until you told me the squeaky toy. Is there anything else that we're missing?
Yeah, use the ruffle, well not ruffles, but the stamp part of your receiver. If you ain't got quarters, it'll be the same thing as the quarters. But you just take your nails and rub on it. It's real quiet, and you'll think, oh, they can't hear that. Yeah, they can.
I've got an old Marlin that the stock has ridges like that. Would that work?
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Giving me ideas here.
Even for people like me that don't have nails, you just got to have a little bit to rake on it.
Yeah, I caught myself a couple years ago. It did not bring a squirrel in. I'm going to throw that right out. But I was sitting there kind of playing with the back of the stock. and just kind of, I used to play guitar, and I was just kind of air guitaring, you know, on a
Oh yeah.
22.
I've been there. I've been there. You're bored.
So it did not work. But I didn't actually kill anything then, so there may not have even been a squirrel around here.
Well, I like to do that, like when they're cutting nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So there, you can see them a ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they always got their favorite tree. But you can start that, and a lot of times that'll bring them on over.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, Now, for me, uh, because I am typically only using the distress call, uh, I use it season long.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, I know that they're, you know, early season, I know that they've got young squirrels, and I know that we can call the mom in, we can stop. Uh, when we transition, you know, October, November, and we're looking at fall, I still use the distress,
Mm-hmm.
but that's when I'm using it more for, I know the squirrel is there. I need it to poke its head
Yep.
around. Um, are there any differences in the fall, the way you locate or use a distress than I do?
No, not at all.
Okay. Are you using your locator any more or less?
Depends on where I'm at.
Okay. So what would make you, like, for me, I definitely use it. I definitely use it more in the spring than I do in the fall because I know about the young ones and everything. Um, what would make you use your locator more in the fall?
Like when I'm first getting out of the car, you know, if I'm around a lot of walnuts or hickories,
Okay.
you know, right at the break of daylight, hit that chatter,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll respond.
Okay.
Because they're, well, like we talked before, the grays are the early risers.
They are. They definitely are.
There's another deal you can do with your distress.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. When you're blowing it, get a hold of some brush and rake it on the ground.
I know what you're getting at.
It sounds like a hawk on the ground or some predator with
Yep.
wings.
Yep. And that's really no different than trying to call in a coyote or something. You got a rabbit, you know, your rabbit distress, and
Yes,
you
sir.
want to make it appear like there's an actual rabbit there. Um, that's something that I have never done for a squirrel, but that is something that I can definitely see that would work. Uh, Going into the winter, um, and we're talking hard winter. We're talking January when everything is frozen.
Yep.
Um, Again, I'm only using the distress to pull
Yep.
one out that I know is there. Uh, does the winter change how you call?
Yes, the winter will when it gets that hard.
Okay. How?
I'm I'm more of a chatter guy then.
So, do the squirrels chatter more,
They can.
or are you trying to elicit them more?
I'm more trying to get them to answer me,
Okay.
especially like I said, right at the early mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I hear them, you know
Right.
yourself, you're on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so, are you just doing it when you're getting out of the car? Are you doing it as you're walking? Kind of talk me through the hard winter months there.
Right around December, January, I'll chatter like when I first get out of the car. And if I don't get an answer as I'm walking, of course, I'm watching my trees.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer I get to where I feel there's a food source, I'll start chattering a little more. Because they'll lay around before they come out.
Yeah.
During the cold winter on the river, I like to use my chatter.
Okay.
And I can, on the river at that time of year, I can see them,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll chatter at them. And a lot of times they'll go to the top of the tree and be looking.
Okay, so you're chattering more, just more locating is
Just
all.
locate
Okay.
more than anything.
Okay. Uh, Barking during the winter, are you doing that anymore or
Some.
some?
I will in February when they're breeding.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to help bring them in.
Okay. Uh, I my percentage for bringing one in is a big fat 0.
We'll change that.
So when you say it helps to bring them in, like, how often do you think you can duplicate that?
Oh, yeah, for me, that just runs into my situation.
Okay, fair enough.
Sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's less.
Okay.
Breeding season, when they're breeding, now that'll change a bunch. Because you get a good warm February, day where it's, say, 35 out instead of 20.
Right.
If I can see them off at a distance, and I see I figure they're males when they're by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'll chatter at them, and they will work their way to you.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I'm asking y'all, I asked Mike here, how often are you able to duplicate that? There's a lot of debate on the internet. And as always, if it's on the internet, it's true, right? Um, you guys hear me say all the time that we're not the experts, we're not the end all be all. Um, Obviously, Mike has had more success than I have. There's a lot of debate right now about, well, I don't know about right now, but there's a lot of debate on how good are calls. Some people they swear by them. I can get a call or I can get a squirrel to do this. I can't. And I'm not doubting those people at all. Some people are just flat out better
Yep.
at certain things than others. Um, I've just, for educational purpose, I'm just really interested in how easy or how often can people duplicate these. Again, you'll hear me say this a lot. The only thing that I can really duplicate, um, when we're not talking early season, the only thing I can really duplicate is getting a squirrel to pop its head out because I know it's there. Early season, I can absolutely call them in with the
Oh, yeah.
distress,
When I first started with a call, all I did was went out in the woods. If I heard a squirrel, I tried to imitate him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best learning curve, learning thing
Oh,
you do.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, we've talked before, like, you can sit on your front porch and
Mhm.
really learn squirrel behavior, um, feeding habits, mating habits. Even when I lived in Kansas City, uh, you can sit there and just watch how the squirrels act and what noises they make. And I'm like you, there were times, especially when I was trying a new call, um, that I would walk out. We had a park across from us, and I would walk out and try to get one to bark, and then try to duplicate,
Yep.
the different ways that you can with these. Um, Not gonna lie, most of the time I just scared the thing away.
A lot of times that depends on how loud you're trying to make it.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm not trying to dog calls, because I know that the distress works.
Yes.
I'm sure that a lot of it is I don't have a technique down. I don't have, I'm not doing something right. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually not a person that, obviously, I forgot. We got 4 calls here, and we forgot all of them this morning. So we're obviously not living and dying by our calls.
No, sir.
Um, but I don't necessarily make sure that I have my call. Like, I have my call every time. The only reason why I actually have a squirrel call every time, even when I deer hunt or whatever, it stays in a certain pocket in my bag, and if I take it out, I lose it.
Yep.
So, like for deer season, I have the same basic bag, with the same stuff in it. The things that change are for deer season. Obviously, I'm taking out my rimfire ammo, and I'm taking out, um, certain gloves depending on size, time of year, and I'm replacing it with my deer cartridges and my
Yep.
heavier gloves, that kind of stuff. Um, but I have found that I lost this call for a couple years once, and then I found it. Um, and ever since then, it stays in the exact same pocket
Yep.
every single time, and it's just always there. Because obviously, if I take it out to do a video, it doesn't go to the woods with us.
Do you hide when you use your call?
Um, No, I don't hide. You know I'm a big uh, still hunt
Mm-hmm.
person, and you know I follow that Fred Bear philosophy of sit down and shut up and be still. Um, I do put a mask on when I hunt. I do try to get camoed up, so I don't necessarily hide. Um, one thing that I will do, because when you're sitting, when you're going to call, they're going to look at you. It's not like you're going to sit still and there's a squirrel over there. You can make a few little movements. It's not paying you attention. Once you hit this, everything looks at you. Every
Yes.
bird, everything looks at you. Um, so what I like to do is just keep it here in my teeth. But again, remember, I know a squirrel is here. I'm trying to get it to just look at me. So I usually do this with my gun, and then because I need to be ready. You don't have a whole lot of time once you hit
No.
that. So if you have your gun in your lap and you're holding it, you don't have that time, or at least I don't,
Mm.
anyways, to reach down because it's gonna see you and it's gonna run.
Yep.
I don't have a lanyard on it now. We're doing a video. I do usually keep a lanyard. It's in my bag right now because when I know that it's early season like this, I am going to use it. And so when I get to where I'm going to sit, I'll just let it kind of hang, and then I'll get my gun ready. And so really, the only movement I'm doing is
Yep.
kind of hand. Um, so I don't know if that's hiding or not, but those are the special things or the different things that I do when I'm going to use it.
I like to get in the brush just for that reason, to where I can really get kind of hid.
Mm-hmm.
Because the very first time I ever used a distress call, I learned that lesson. I put it in my mouth, and Blue had the gun in my lap.
Yes.
And the second I hit it, it wasn't 10 seconds into the call, and the trees come alive, and they were coming to me.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said earlier in the video, the first time I ever did it, I popped it out of the package and walked in to the woods, and I'm like, let's see what happens. And let me tell you, did something happen?
Oh, yeah, it's exciting,
And
Hank.
it was like second week of June, so it was the prime distress
Yes.
time. Um, I have not found that being in the brush versus sitting at the tree, like at the base of a tree, has mattered. The only thing that has mattered to me, and we've both hit on it, is just being ready.
Yep.
Um, I have not felt like I needed to be in somewhere specific so much as I have known ever since that very first time, if you're going to do it, you had better be ready.
Yes, sir. My first call was the distress call. I don't know if you remember a little green tube about that long.
I do.
That was the very first one I ever bought.
So that's showing some age, actually.
Yeah, I'm a little old.
Well, that's both of us.
Yep. But I sat down in some brush, just like I always do to squirrel hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I had a shotgun. I hit that call, and I did it. They just come running to me.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was a little scared. Well, it was like the whole trees around me were alive.
Yeah, and that's the way it was the first time I hit it. I had that one charging, and all she was doing was trying to find out what baby was
If
hers.
it was hers or
But I hit it again later that day. I was much more ready, but I actually had several. It was like I don't know which one to shoot first. Um, so there is actually one more call that I know we're going to get comments on. I simply don't have one. I can't remember the name of it, but you guys will understand. You'll know it. It's that little metal one, has a leather lanyard. All that is a distress call.
it is.
And those things work. Same exact thing we're talking about here. The same distress. Use it the same way. The same situations. I simply just don't have one to put on camera. I don't have one at all, so I can't show it to you.
I may have one at home.
Okay.
I use them for coon.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a different video for that one.
It can be. It could be. But yeah, I bought them when I was coon hunting.
Okay. Okay.
And then I transferred from doing coons to squirrels and used the same call.
Yeah.
But that changes your pitch, your loudness, and all.
Yeah, when we're done with this video, he's going to fill me on that one. If you guys want to know, leave a comment, and we'll fill you in on that. As always, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brothers, cousins, uncles, roommate. Go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.